Welcome to Two Women in Crypto, a weekly podcast birthed on a whim by two women who are excited about the cryptocurrency landscape and have a shared passion about empowering others to step into the digital, tokenized world of the future. We offer tips, tricks, and our own individual insights as to how to begin to navigate this shift. We are not financial advisors nor experts. We are just here to encourage you to look at the possibilities. So welcome to the future. You're right on time.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to Two Women in Crypto. Kelly is not joining us today. She has big family plans. Her daughter's getting married. So here we go. I'm going to take over for the week. And lots of news to get into. So let's just jump on in. And I kind of wanted to start the podcast off and just, really think about things for a moment. Like if we think about, what does CoinBase, Three Arrows Capital, Voyager, and Celsius, what do they all have in common? They're all centralized. They're centralized companies that have either been hacked, went bankrupt for overleveraging, their customers' funds. And, when I really take a step back and I think about, obviously every company runs on profit, but I think when we have the more centralized these companies are becoming and what they really are, you have a couple of people at the top who, really strive to really earn as much money as possible, like over leveraging our funds. That's just something that I want everybody to keep in mind with, because they're the custodians of all of our money. And if we can't trust them, then I think it's time that we all become our own bank. And I really want to start, driving this point home, like get your ledger, get your SafePal, get your Trezor, and get your coins offline. Like even if you have a SafePal wallet, you can even convert your USD to USDC, send it to your SafePal, and at least that your dollars are on the blockchain and you become your own bank. Something super powerful and a really sovereign moment for people to experience. So I encourage everybody, go get your hardware wallet. Now, another thing that kind of happened since our last podcast last week is that England declared, and the Bank of England declared another emergency stimulus. So there's a lot of turmoil going on right now in the markets, and increasing the stimulus will eventually raise inflation. So, they're in a really, really bad place. But at the same time, having this bond emergency is really going to make people who live in England feel super nervous about their pensions and the security of their wealth. So kind of what I see could possibly happen is that the Bank of England could really make a push for central bank digital currencies, using the bond emergency right now as kind of like a catalyst. So it's like when we think about, what are some of the solutions for a worldwide recession? Like what would happen if pensions failed, and over leveraging our markets, over collateralizing the markets, that can really, really leave the centralized banks to come out and say, hey, we have this problem and everyone's going to react, and then we have a solution. And the other thing I was really sitting with as well is, what would happen if some of the banks started to fail and all of our money got frozen, right? So we have no access to our funds in the bank. And then the central banks say, hey, we're going to provide you the solution. Everybody download the central bank digital currency app on your phone, and all of your money from your current bank account will be transferred into this account. Therefore, you're getting your money back but it's no longer being held at the bank. It's being held on your app with one system, one central banking system that will know every transaction in real time in a centralized manner. And I just kind of wanted everybody to sit with that and really think about it, because, we see what's going on with PayPal and how they've, they're not, well, they have frozen people's funds in the past. But again, it's just like they wanted to roll out a fining plan for anybody who spoke misinformation, and that, somebody was going to get fined like $2,500. Now they came out and they said it was an error. But if everybody wants to look up Dan Schulman, he's on the World Economic Forum website. He is the CEO and president of PayPal. And just look at his background. And he talks a lot about equality, inclusivity, like all the right buzzwords, but yet they want to fine people for misinformation. So again, people rose, they made their voices heard, and that's obviously not going to happen. And again, they even came out and made a statement and said this was an error, it never should have been published out for the public. But again, was it an error, or are they looking to see who will comply, who will rise? And we rose. Same thing with central bank digital currency, right? The way I look at the current system is that they're not going to stop. Like, they have their agenda, and they're pushing this narrative. And if they win, we won't have freedom of speech anymore, right? That's just a fact. So we would have to comply with whatever the rules of the government is. We have to 100% agree with the government. And if we don't, then our digital wallet can be tampered with. They could freeze our funds. They could take our funds away. They can limit how far we can drive in our cars, and even if you think about all of the talk with like all these major conglomerates and corporations talking about climate change and carbon credits. And again, it's like they can come out and say something, well, everybody needs to reduce the amount of gas you put in your car. No one can go more than 1 mile outside their town. And if you do, your digital wallet won't work. So these are just things. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I am saying that a central bank digital currency all around the world will try to be voted on and implemented. So the way we're going to win is, one, we're not going to download the app. And two, we're going to tell our congressmen, we're going to tell our representatives that we're just not going to do this, right? So if we let them know, they'll pull it. But it's going to take all of us collectively to really stay on our congressmen and our representatives to make sure our voices get heard. Because the more I see, we talk a lot about like the classic problem, reaction, solution scenario. Like, I can see some of the bond markets and some of these other markets like derivatives. Okay. And derivatives, we've talked about this probably like maybe 6-7 months ago I did a whole podcast about derivatives, and the derivatives market is estimated at over $1 quadrillion, right, at any given time. So what would happen if that market deleveraged on a large scale? Again, it's going to give the governments and the banking systems time for people to react and come in with a solution. And here we go. And once it's implemented, if it is implemented, it would be really, really hard to reverse. So we just want to make sure it just doesn't happen and we can all like move on with our lives. And we're going to do this because we did this with PayPal, right? PayPal tried to push that $2,500 fine to folks for misinformation, and people rose and said, you absolutely cannot freeze people's funds. And again, and even if you think about what PayPal was trying to do, that is a form of a social credit score. And we definitely don't want social credit scores, right? So that's a big no-no. We don't want them. And we have to make sure that we steer the ship away from tyranny, right? Because I don't believe that PayPal, the World Economic Forum, the IMF, all of these people have our best interests, right? So again, we're going to become our own bank. If you have an account with PayPal, there's Stripe, there's Strike, there's so many different ones. I would encourage everybody to move your funds elsewhere because we need to vote with our dollars right now. Wherever we give money, we're empowering these people to continue with their agenda. Awesome. All right. So I kind of wanted to touch base on this too, because last week I had touched base on BlackRock, kind of reimagining the World Bank and as well as the International Monetary Fund. And then I went and I listened to the Center of Global Development meeting, and Janet Yellen had spoken, and she's our current treasurer of the United States of America. And she also feels like we should reimagine the World Bank to evolve the financial system for the 21st century. So again, I just think it's such a good reminder for all of us to make our voices heard and to actually get prepared. Going through a hurricane, realizing we're strong in these areas, not so much in these areas. And I really think, with so much instability, so much uncertainty, no one knows exactly what's going to happen. But I think everybody can feel that something is on the rise. And we just want to make sure that we remain sovereign beings and we have financial freedom. Because for me, when I say a lot of the research that I do, I'm following the money. And when I'm following the money and I come across the World Economic Forum and PayPal and Amazon and, Google and all of these folks, it's just, we want to really focus on decentralizing some of these agencies, moving forward. And it is going to happen. And that's the good news about all of this, is that we do have decentralized finance and the ecosystems are maturing. And, again, there will be a time when our centralized systems fail, because if they do decide to try to control the whole population through some sort of social credit score or carbon credit score, whatever it may be, once people start to revolt and lose trust and don't have access to their money, then that system would obviously fail. So it's going to be a very, very fine balance within these systems, and we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on it. And with that said, I want to kind of jump into some good news here and some good reminders of how much cryptocurrency is being adopted within all of this chaos and all of the uncertainty and all of the news. Grayscale, which is the largest cryptocurrency asset fund manager, in the world, they just added Matic, which is Polygon, to their large cap fund. So if anybody's interested, you can just go directly to Grayscale's website, and check them out. And they have all these different types of funds, and you can see where they're putting, their investors' money on projects that they believe that are going to win. So definitely want to keep an eye out on that. And I know I had touched base on this a couple months ago about Grayscale dropped a lawsuit on the SEC because they were denied their ETF, their spot ETF fund. So the first document actually got filed, I believe, 2 days ago in the courts. Super straightforward, common sense arguments. And the CEO of Grayscale has been, being interviewed on all the major, news media. And basically, he's basically saying the SEC is out of its jurisdiction, and it's kind of making up these really like stringent rules on what should become a spot ETF. And the spot ETF for Bitcoin, it like the rules that they need to follow and why they keep getting rejected has never been applied to any other ETFs ever or any commodity. So this is a really good reminder of like when a company like Grayscale files a lawsuit against the SEC is getting exposed, for really not protecting individual investors and also not following the law of the United States of America. So it needs to follow its regulations. And this case is such a good reminder. And again, it goes straight to, I think, the appellate courts. So I think, again, it's such a good reminder to know that the SEC is supposed to protect the people. And we're finding more and more that it's not protecting the people. And something like this, when the SEC is actually denying a launch of a spot ETF, that actually stops innovation from happening in the United States. So we need a framework fast from Congress. There's multiple bills that are in Congress. And I think if we can just all hang in there, probably sometime in the first quarter of 2023, we'll see our first bill being passed. Kind of like another fun fact. So the world's largest Bitcoin fund was born here in the United States by Grayscale back in 2013. So kind of like a super fun fact. And they already made a commitment that they will follow this through to the end because it's what the investors want. And it's kind of like what we all want to see happen. And once that spot ETF gets approved, it actually, it'll unlock like billions of dollars of unrealized shareholders value. So again, there's a lot of incentive here to get this spot ETF passed. And I do believe that we will definitely get it. All right. So more fun news here is that the world's oldest and largest bank just went live to provide custody for Bitcoin and crypto to come for select clients at BNY Mellon. So this is a huge, huge deal. And it's something that, Kelly and I have spoken about as well in the past, is that all of the banks eventually, right, probably all throughout 2023, all the major ones, I could see them custodying cryptocurrency. Because if they want to stay competitive and they want to stay in business, they need to move into cryptocurrency and the blockchain. And to maintain power and control, I think that we see some of these larger banks being more open to the research, really starting to get the laws like finalized, and we'll start to see more and more announcements of adoption. And we always have to take a step back and think about what happens when every bank around the world offers the custody of cryptocurrency. Will crypto go up or will it go down? And I know the market has taken a beating. We just had inflation numbers come out at, I think they were like 8.2%. Last month, it was 8.1%. So inflation actually went up. So we could see the Fed expect another rate hike. I think the rate hike comes out November 2nd. So let's keep our eyes on that. And in the interim, over the next couple of months, while the interest rates keep rising, we're going to see the markets go lower and lower. They'll go lower, they'll correct, it bounces around. It's going to be a super bumpy ride. But that's why, like we always say, like not financial advice, it's always good to dollar cost average. And it's also good to keep some cash on the side. There's just so much uncertainty going on in the market right now. We don't know how low the market is going to go. And if we just have a longer term perspective and think, where is my money going to be 3 to 5 years from now? do we believe that Bitcoin is going to be $10,000 or $100,000 or $200,000, and just kind of keep that vision and keep that mindset that we're not looking to get rich overnight. We're looking to make an investment into our future, right? Because I believe the future of finance is on the blockchain. I'm seeing it built out with all these different network systems. And eventually they're all going to connect. They're all going to interoperate. They're all going to scale. It's way more secure, and it's super, super fast. And it will become more and more decentralized as these ecosystems mature. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So another big adoption news I just kind of want to touch base on is Google is going to be offering payments on the cloud in cryptocurrency. So same thing. So we're going to start to really see a lot of these centralized banking systems, institutions, big tech companies that are centralized offer, payment rails and custody to our crypto. So I think, 2023, again, it might be another year of just mass adoption, but eventually with determination and patience, we're just going to be dollar cost averaging in, knowing that there will be a huge shift in the market, and we'll go back up into a bull market once we can kind of get through all of the issues and the macroeconomics and all of these things. Awesome. All right. So let's just jump into a quick update with Ripple SEC lawsuit. So I was reading through, how long it's going to take for the summary judgment. There's like time for redactions. There's time to like reply to some of these briefs. And the last date I could find was December 22nd. So now we can have a settlement at any time. And if there's no settlement, I was listening to the lawyer, John Deaton, who's representing all the XRP holders. And he was like, if there's no settlement, then the earliest the case will be over is probably the end of March in 2023. So there's still the issue with the SEC giving up Bill Hinman's emails. And the judge asked, I believe it was like 5-6 times, and there's still no emails. The judge doesn't have them. So we're kind of all still leaning towards there's probably going to be some sort of settlement, because there must be something in those emails that the SEC doesn't want the judge to see, or it's just a huge major delay tactic. But I think there's probably something in those emails. All right. Awesome. So let's see. I just kind of wanted to kind of give one more quick thought before I kind of start wrapping this up. But another thought that I was sitting with was, what's going to happen, right? If Jerome Powell keeps raising the interest rates, how far before America becomes bankrupt? Because we have to be able to pay like our debt. So I think there's going to be like this tipping point. So I think we watch November. We have midterm elections. We'll see what happens. And then, it's going to be a super interesting like end of the year. So, with that said, I know I'm kind of like cutting this short today, but it's super weird talking into a camera with no one here. And Kelly, I miss you, and I understand you're super busy, and I just wanted to get all this information out to everybody because I know that it's a lot. And at the end of the day, it's just we need a little bit more time for these decentralized systems to really start getting adopted and to really mature. Because I've been watching several of them, and I think maybe even next week we'll do a talk on XDC, because they're coming out with their DeFi platform as well. So awesome. All right, everybody. So until next time, you know what to do. Hodl on.
Your hosts for Two Women in Crypto are Andrea Caldero and Kelly Lair. You'll find more information and details regarding the Two Women in Crypto membership, educational and informative class and event offerings, and more via their website, twowomenencrypto.com. Both Andrea and Kelly are available for speaking events and offer private consultations focused on helping individuals navigate the future. Until next time, huddle on.